only begotten Son. Yo, what's good? What's good? I want to start off by giving all praises to the Most High, and we do so in this only begotten Son named Yahweh Shai. We'll get into what's this part 5, breaking down the book of Revelation. And I know y'all see the title. Um, so yeah, we're gonna get into it. This like chapter 9, and we're gonna get into chapter 10. And so 9, it's pretty much like I said, it's going over the World War I, World War II, and it's gonna touch on World War III. Then in chapter 10 is it's a little bit out of order because chapter 10, kind of, I guess you can say, kind of, happened right before. I mean, of course, it happened before chapter 9, but so chapter 10 is as the seals is being opened, or the seals is about to be opened. Certain things that was taking place around that. So but yeah, like without further ado, we're gonna get into it. Get some understanding about this thing, and let's go. So we're gonna start at chapter 9 in Revelation chapter 9 verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. Unto him was given the key to the bottomless pit. So now this angel is spiritually speaking, and is actually talking about Kaiser Wilhelm, which was like the last king, the last emperor, you know, uh, in the 1900s. When countries and stuff had their monarchs and kings and queens and rulers and stuff like that. So he was the last one that was still holding on to power. He was the king of Persia. So, and he was given the bottomless pit, meaning he was over the over Europe, and he caused Europe to go into war, and Europe is the bottomless pit. Let me explain that, because Europe is the bottomless pit because it has no natural resources. A lot of things that Europe import or export, they have to import it in, then they export it out, because Europe itself doesn't have like natural resources like that. That's being a reason why they went around the whole world, robbing and pillaging everything. So yeah, so it says, and the angel, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit, meaning rulership over that area. And he opened the bottomless pit, and arose smoke out of the pit, and smoke of great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by the reason of the smoke. So now this is getting into World War I. Okay, so then in my other video I did when we was breaking down the uh, the seven seals and the trumpets, I explained how, like, when you watch a documentary of World War I, it's very hazy because it's a lot of smoke and dust being kicked up, and it was fighting with what's that stuff called? Like it was fighting with chemical weapons, and and there was a lot of explosions and bombs and stuff like that. It was just, there was a lot of, it was more like trench warfare. So so when you watch like a documentary about World War I, you can see how dusty and hazy it was. I mean, let alone you're looking at it through a black and white film, but minus that, it was still very hazy. And so it says, in the bottomless, he opened up the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out of the pit, and a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by the reason. So yeah, that the darkness, is coming into, like, a lot of smoke, gas and stuff. 'Cause like I said, World War I was fought with a lot of chemical weapons and gas and stuff. So it was a lot of smoke and all that. And there came out the smoke locust upon the earth. And the locust is talking about the World War I planes. And the formation they used to fly, and the noise that it used to make when those airplanes fly. So like I said, when you watch a documentary of World War I, you can, see how noisy those planes was. And the formations they took. and it opened up the bottomless. And it came out, verse 3, and there came out the smoke of locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given the power of the scorpions, uh, of the power as scorpions of the earth have power. So, and scorpions, where the might of a scorpion is in their tail. That's where the stinger's at. So, like I said, when you go back to the World War I airplanes, the quote unquote stinger or the gunner used to sit in the back of the plane. You know, that's where the gunner used to sit at, and it was able to shoot in different directions. Because the seat was like more like a swivel, so it can spin around and shoot different directions. And that's how they made the planes back then. Two man airplanes, the pilot, then you had the gunner, and the gunner sat in the back and did all the shooting. So it says and came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power as the scorpion of the earth had power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, um, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God on their foreheads. So, like I said, if you look at my other video when we got into the seven seals and seven trumpets, I explained how the grass, the grass and the trees and the earth is talking about the children of Israel. And when you look at the statistics for World War I and World War II, we had the lowest fatality rates. So when it says not to hurt the earth or the green grass, meaning those who don't have the seal of God out of the children of Israel, those who had the seal of God of the children of Israel, don't touch them. Don't allow them to die. And a lot of us in World War I and World War II, we didn't die. You know, I was saying too, like out of 40,000 so-called African Americans that served in the war, between 40,000 and 50,000 people that served in the war. Um, I think I gotta double check it. It was like less than like I don't want to lie, like less than 1,000 of us died. Out of 40,000 or 50,000, like about 700 and something of us died, I believe. Uh, like yeah, 700 and something of us died. Then you had our Jamaican brothers that fought. It was 18,000 uh, Jamaican people that fought in World War I, and only 18 of them died. So we had the lowest fatality rates because God said, "Don't hurt the green earth or the green grass," and we are that green earth and green grass. And so then it says, and it was given unto them that they should not kill them, but they should torment them for 5 months. So yeah, a lot of us was not dying in those wars. That's why when we was growing up, we see a lot of amputees running around with wheelchairs, their legs blown off, cause they, from the war that they fought in World War I, World War II. I know a lot of us seen it growing up. And even like I say, you can see videos of people, with half their head blown off, got a bandage on it, they still alive and they smoking a cigarette, doing interviews, during that time. So he said, don't kill them, but torture them. I know it sounds messed up, but that's just how the Lord planned it out to be. So he said, don't kill them, but torture them, right? Then it says, and it was given on it was, and to them it was given that they should not kill them, but they should torment them for 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of scorpions when when he strike man, right? And like I said, a lot of them was getting, they was probably getting their legs blown off, getting their arm blown off, but the Lord wasn't allowing these people to die, you know. And 'cause like I said, we out of all the people that fought in the wars, we had the lowest fatality rate. And I would venture a guess that those people that did die, they was not Israelites. They was probably, how they say all skin folks ain't kin folks. But I would venture to say that they wasn't Israelites. I'm not gonna get too deep in that, but because go by the seed of the father. So then let me see. Then boom boom boom. Um, in those days shall a man seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. So, like I said, these people wasn't dying. You can see these documentaries of people, like I said, with half their face blown off. They still alive. They just laying in a hospital bed with bandages on, and they smoking cigarettes, drinking, chilling. You know, got to take the morphine. That's where the whole morphine stuff, came into play and started getting invented because they didn't have enough doctors at that time in the field, during wartime to operate on some of these people. So they had to invent these pain medicines to keep these people going. And also, that's where what they call crank and heroin and meth, for matter of fact, meth. That's where Hitler and the Nazis, Hitler had his soldiers hopped up off of meth in World War II. You know, that's why the Waffen SS and those little German soldiers, they seemed like they was so strong, but they was really going off the meth. Because that's what they was using at the time for medicine and for stamina or whatever, right? And and the shape of the locusts were unto the horses prepared unto battle, and their and meaning it like the formation they rode in, and their heads were like crowns of gold, and their faces were as men, right? So it's talking about their helmets. When you look at the World War I and helmets, how they used to dress with the helmets and stuff, and had the little point at the top, and have a little look like a horsehair hanging from the side or what have you. Hold on real quick, turn this fan up. Yeah. So yeah, so that was the appearance of these helmets and stuff. It says where am I? Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, the faces were like men because like I said, they had the little pointy helmets and the long little looking like hair type stuff, but they had faces of men, right? So that's what John is seeing in this vision. They had hair as they had hair of women because, like I said, if you look at those old World War I helmets, they had long little frizzy stuff hanging from the side. It says they had hair as women and their teeth were as the as lions. Because you look at the old World War I planes, they used to paint on the side. They used to paint graphics on the side of the World War I planes. They used to have like little, shark teeth and all that stuff. We seen the old Bugs Bunny cartoons or whatever. How they used to draw the airplanes that had like animal faces on the side of their airplane. So this is what John is seeing, like the graphics that they painted on a plane, and they show and they had breastplates as were breastplates of iron, which was reinforced steel, and the sound of their wings was sound of chariots and many horses running to battle. Cause like I said, back then it was World War I planes were like real noisy when they flew, and they had tails unto scorpions, and there were sting, and there were they were sting in their tails. So, like I said, the gunner, the scorpion part is talking about the gunner that's set in the back of the plane because those were two-man airplanes back then, a pilot and a gunner. So the gunner sat in the back, he did all the shooting while the pilot flew. So that's what it's talking about, the stinger in the tail, because that's where the gun was. The gun was in the back of the planes. And anybody can look this up. You look at the World War I airplanes and how they was made, and it matches up. So John is using his technical uh, reference and frame of reference to describe what he's seeing, like hundreds of thousands of years in the future. Because they didn't have airplanes back then, so he's using what he knows to describe what he's seeing, right? And so then it says, and they had boom, boom, boom. And they had a breastplate as they were breastplates of iron and sound, and the sound of the of their wings as the sound of chariots, and the horses ran running to battle. And they had tails unto scorpions, and they were stings, and their tails. There were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt. Will hurt to hurt man for 5 months, because like I think World War, the war lasted for about like 5 years or so, right? And so just jump, just get a little precept real quick. Let's go to Daniel. Uh, let's go to Daniel 5 real quick. We're gonna read Daniel 5 down to 13 real quick. So it says, now this Daniel 5, and let me start at 7 and jump down to 7. And I Daniel alone saw the vision from a man from the men that were with me, and saw not the vision, but a great quake fell upon them, so that they fled and hid themselves. Therefore, therefore I alone, therefore I was left alone, and saw a great vision, and there remained no strength in me, for my comeliness was turned into me uh, corruption, and I retained no strength. So Daniel's seeing these future events, and it's like jacking them up inside. It's kind of like, scaring them. Like just how like sometimes you might hear some terrible news, or something that disturbs you. It's gonna mess you up inside. So Daniel's seeing these things unfold, and he's kind of is not not it's not making them feel well, about it. Seeing these things. Then it says, and yet I heard a voice. Yet I heard, and yet I heard the voice of his words, and then I heard a voice of his words. Then I, in the deep sleep on my face. Well, okay, yeah. Then I, on the deep sleep of my face, and I, and in my face towards the ground. So he kind of, passed out from looking at these things. It was terrifying for Daniel. So basically, what Daniel was saying, he passed out. He was seeing these visions, and it was jacking him up inside, and it was so terrifying that it made him pass out to look at these things that he was seeing. Because, like I said, he never seen these things before. And so let me read again. Therefore I was alone, and I saw a great vision, and there was remained no strength in me, for my calmness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Meaning he got weak, and yet I heard the voice, yet I the voice and his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then I was in a deep sleep, my face my face towards the ground. So he passed out. Um, and I behold, and I behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. And he said unto me, O Daniel, uh, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I spake unto thee, and stand up upright, for unto thee I am now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. So Daniel, stood up, kind of nervous, kind of scared still. And then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel. From the first day that thou uh, from the first day that thou did this, set thy heart to understand, and chastise thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I came for thy words. So he's letting Daniel know, like, man, I came to, to comfort you, to let you know everything gonna be cool. You ain't gotta, be worried and all that stuff. I got you. I came here to help you. Um, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia, because like I said, let's get into the prince of Persia. So, Kaiser Wilhelm was that angel who was given the keys of the bottomless pit that kicked off World War I. And you can do the history. You can Google Kaiser Wilhelm, and it'll let you know that he started World War I. And it says, but the prince of king, and he was the king of Persia during that time. And that was the last empire to have a king. So it says, and the prince of Persia uh, withstood me 1 and 20 days. But lo, Michael and one of his chief princes came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of the Persia. Right. So we're getting a little understanding that, just breaking it down, that this angel of the bottomless pit is, Kaiser Wilhelm. That he was the ruler of Persia, and so Daniel's seeing these visions that's kind of upsetting him, and so we're getting a little visual of what he's seeing, right? So it's verse 11, back to Revelation 9 and 11, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, which was who we now know to be Kaiser Wilhelm, which was the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew tongue was Abaddon, but in Greek tongue his name was Apollyon. So now, too, interesting fact: when you look up Kaiser Wilhelm, you will know that he made a statue of himself to look like Apollyon. So here in Revelation, John is seeing this also, the same vision that Daniel seen, and John is seeing, this man Apollyon, because he, like I said, you can do the history on this. He made a statue of himself to look like Apollyon because he thought that he was Apollyon, which was, I think, the Greek god of war or something like that. So and woe and one woe is past. So it's talk. So it just gave you the brief thing about World War I. It says one, because the woes is talking about the different wars and stuff. So it says one woe is past, and behold, there comes two woes. One more hereafter, talking about World War III. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying, the sixth angel which had the trumpet loosed the four angels which were bound in the great river Euphrates, and the four angels were loosed. So it's talking about these four spirits that is, governing these different regions of the world, that's controlling governments and putting spirits on governments to go to war, to carry out certain tactics and deeds. So now these four spirits that's in these different parts of the world, mainly in the Middle East, is being loose, and now they're putting a spirit on these nations to gear up for war. That's why we see what's going on the news now with these different countries, getting ready to go to battle. And Russia already in battle. And so it says, and the four angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour and a day, and a month and a year to slay the third part of man. So that's what's going to happen when this World War III happens. The third part of humanity is going to be slain. Through war, whether it's famine or whatever, how it may come across, right? And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard a number of them, meaning like that 200,000 not literal, just saying that it was so many that he couldn't really count. All right. And thus I saw the horses of the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and brimstone in the heads of horses, and were the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issue fire and smoke and brimstone. So now getting into the 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 war and stuff, and talking about these different aircrafts and how they built. So now these airplanes, instead of having a stinger in the back, it's coming out their breastplate because when they dropped the bomb on Japan, the bottom of the ship opened up out from the middle, and the bomb fell out and blew up Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? And then how they just bomb Germany all up too with the same method, with the bomb dropping from the middle of the plane. So that's that breastplate of fire, right? So because when the middle of that plane opened up, the bomb fall, that thing blows up. What happened? Fire, right? Uh, so um, so then it says the boom boom boom, and thus I saw the horses in a vision, and them that sat upon them having breastplate of fire, and all the jun the jun the junctions and the brimstones and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issue issue fire and smoke and brimstone. And by these uh, and by these three was the third part of man killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issue out of their mouths. So a lot of there's a lot of casualties in World War II also. And like you can see like the death toll. Like I think almost especially Russia lost a lot of people. During World War II. You know, and America they lost like hundreds and of thousands of people. It was like not just America, but them collectively lost a lot of people. So let's get Isaiah real quick. I think I went Isaiah 24. Yeah, Isaiah 24 and 20, right? It says, in the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. Because when them bombs is blowing up, it's causing earthquakes and seismic activity, and the ground is shaking. And so it says the earth shall reel back and forth like a drunkard. It says, and the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. Because when somebody drunk, they be staggering, be taking two steps forward, one step backwards, right? So it says, and the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. So just talking about like these, destruction, things blowing up and all that stuff, right? So that's what we was witnessing. Well, that's what John was saying. That's the things that was going on during World War II. And it says there, for their power is in their mouth, and their tails, for their tails were like unto scorpions, and had heads with them, and they do hurt. Meaning they caused a lot of death during that, during those times. Because, like I said, you can Google the numbers of the death tolls, like of these wars and stuff, and see how many, people lost their life during these World War One and World War Two, right? And it says, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of the gold, silver, and brass, and stone, and of the wood, which neither can see nor hear. So, a lot of people was going through all this stuff, and America still didn't repent from what they have done, to us. Britain, the EU, in fact, they doubled down. They created something called NATO in the EU after World War II. And they continue on oppressing God's people. So these plagues that God is bringing onto this place, they of course they're going to keep coming. And the final plague is World War III, when that nuclear fire hit. That's going to be the final plague. So verse 21: neither repented they of their murders, neither repented of their murder, nor of their sorcery, nor of their fornication, nor of their theft. You know, because America is not going to repent because America is a proud country. What's that song? Proud to be American? You know, all that bull stuff, right? So they're not going to repent. You know, and that's why it's going to get worse and worse and worse. You know, that's why World War III has to come along. You know, that's going to be the final plague that hit this place and what's going to free us up out of here and give us our liberation. Um, so then let's get to 10 now. So chapter 10. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as if it were the sun, and his feet were as pillars of fire. So it's talking about Yahweh, right? But that's true that it's talking about Jesus, who the world called Jesus, real name Yahweh in Hebrew. So let's prove it. So let's go to Ezekiel 1 and 28, right? So go to Ezekiel 1 and 28. And it says, so, as it appeared, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of a rain. So, like I said, how it says in Revelation, he came with a bow, meaning he's glowing. You know, got all types of glow about him, like, you know, like Bruce Leroy from Last Dragon got the glow. You know, but it's all different types of vibrant, different colors. You know, that's illuminating off of. So it says, as it appear, uh, as the appearance of a bow that is in the clouds in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness around about, meaning it was all over him, covering him from head to toe. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord, and when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. Right. So you know that's what he's coming. When he coming, he's coming with that bow. He's coming with that glow. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be shining. You know, like and because you know how we always like to shine. He's gonna be actually shining. You know, with different. Different. Just different vibrant colors, right? And he had on his hand. He had in his hand a little book, and he that set uh, his right foot upon the sea and his left foot upon the earth, right? And so let's go to Daniel real quick. Get a little understanding really quick. Go to Daniel, and we're gonna read from 1 to 4, right? In the time, this is Daniel 12. Start at 1. And at the time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which stand for the children of thy people, which will be the Israelites, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even that same time at and at the time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in a book. So, Michael is the defender of Israel. He's the one that help us out, and it's talking about the Jacob's trouble. The Jacob's trouble is coming, and we can see the beginnings of it, now. But Jacob's trouble is coming, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awaken, some to everlasting life, and some to shame, and everlasting contempt. Meaning, when they see Yahushua come back and his angels, some of us gonna be, it's gonna be glorious for us, because for some of us, because we know that's our redemption, that's our salvation. But those who didn't believe and those that were still, doing what they was doing, when he come back, it's gonna be contention for him. It's gonna be what it say. It says. Says it's gonna be shame, because they're gonna know, like, dang, he really here, and now it's too late, and they're gonna be feeling that shame and that contempt in that day. That's why we got to get it right now, because you don't want to wait till that day, because pretty soon it's gonna be too late, and then when it's too late, I mean, you ain't gonna be able to do nothing but just die here in America. And when that stuff happens. So it says, and many of them that sleep in the dust in the earth shall awaken from the everlasting, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And that sleeping in the dust meaning the ones that's in a lower state, not necessarily like you're dead or whatever, but you in a lower state, meaning like you probably, you know, not, doing as well as you want to do in life or whatever the case, however you want to break it down. But, just talking about, just being in a lower state, and then once you awaken to like what's going on, meaning you get that knowledge and understanding, because we are going to understand what's happening that day when you see him start coming through the clouds and stuff and the angels. So we all going to get the picture then. But then if you still in that lower state, you still caught up in your own personal life and whatever you was doing, you're going to be feeling shameful in that day because you're like, damn, I wasted my time. I should have been trying to do this. I should have been trying to do that. But it's going to be too late. And they that be wise shall shine as righteousness in the firmament, and that they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. Read again. And they that be wise shall shine as brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as stars forever and ever. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to turn our people back into righteousness, get us back to our natural glory state of being gods and on this earth, kings and queens, how we're supposed to be. So we can have that, rejoice when we see him coming back. Because we know he's coming back to save us instead of killing us. So we won't have that shame and that contempt. And because a lot of people think Jesus coming back and handing out lollipops and hugs and stuff like that. He's coming back to kill. He's coming back to kill a third of mankind or more. So he ain't coming. It's not how the church, make it seem like, oh, when I see Jesus and all that stuff. No, when you see Jesus, your ass gonna die if you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, straight up and down. So, so it says, but thou, uh, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. So he's telling Daniel this stuff, that this vision is for the time of the end. And guess what? We're living in the end. So now the book is open. So now we can see what's going on now. He told Daniel to close the book because it wasn't time yet for them. But now it's time because because the book was supposed to be open during our time, and the book is open. So it says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. So that's what's happening. That's why the book is open now, because the knowledge is increasing in these last days. A lot of people are getting that understanding now. So now the book can be open, because now we can read it and understand it. And the book being metaphorically speaking for this wisdom, this knowledge, and understanding, because we always had the Bible, but that book being able to interpret it and break it down properly, and not listening to the slave doctrine that you learn in church. So moving on, and they cry back to Revelation 10:3, and they cry with a loud voice, and they cried with a loud voice as when a lion roared. And when he had cried, seven thunders uttered their voices, right? So let's go to Hosea real quick. Let's go to Hosea, let's get 11 and 10, right? So Hosea 11 and 10 says, they shall walk after the Lord, he shall roar like a lion. When he shall roar, the children shall tremble from the west. So who's the children from the west? Okay, let's look at it. You got the Atlantic Ocean in the middle, right? The old world, what they call Europe, Africa, Asia, that's on the east side of the planet. We're on the west. So it says, what did it say again? That's good. It says, and they shall tremble as I don't know where I'm at. Daniel 11. And they shall walk after the Lord, and he shall roar like a lion. And when he roared, then the children shall tremble from the west. Meaning like this Western Empire, they're gonna tremble at his voice, and it's gonna be terrifying for them, right? And so that's what's happening. Let's get back to before uh, Revelation 10:4. And when the seven thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which the seven thunders uttered, and write them not. So he told him, don't write that. You can start writing now. We're gonna keep this one to ourselves, right? And then the angel I saw stand upon the sea, upon the earth, lift up his hands to heaven, right? So then, verse 6, and and I swear by him which liveth for ever and ever, who created heavens and the things which therein are in the earth, and the things that therein, and the sea, and the things which therein uh, should be time no longer, right? So that one, just let's get that one in the GNT, because sometimes in the GNT it reads a little smoother, right? So let's get that in the GNT real quick. Revelation 10:6. And get that. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see what it says in the GNT. So we can get a better understanding. And it says, and took a vow in the name of God, who lives forever and ever, who created heaven, earth, and the sea, and everything in them. The angel said, "There will be no more delay." So that's what it's saying. There will be no more delay. So a lot of people are like, "Man, when is God gonna do this? When is God gonna do that? Whatever." So it's letting you know there's no more delay, and we can see how prophecy is moving. So fast if you follow the prophecies in this book and see where we at. We can see how things is moving. We can see how you know once Russia went into Crimea, not Crimea, but Ukraine, how, steadfast everything started to roll. Then you got China doing their thing, over there with Taiwan. Got all these different countries. Iran, is now trying to, help Russia. You know, you got the beast, the beast, the system of NATO, hating the horror, which is America. And so they're getting ready to turn on America because you already got France and Germany not really feeling how America been operating, and they supposed to be on the same team. And it tells you in Revelation that the beast shall hate the horror, and the beast is NATO and the EU. So so a lot it's gonna be more than just France and Germany that end up turning on America in these coming days. And so you're gonna have them, splitting up because they don't like how America is trying to get everybody to go to war. Because you think it's fucked up over here with the gas prices and the food prices. What about those countries that's dealing with America? They feeling it too. So pretty soon they like, look, man, you bringing us down. You bringing us down. You got Russia about to blow us up. We done with you. So we gonna join with Russia, and then we gonna blow you up. And that's how it's gonna play. So that's why we gotta get back to our nationality, our culture, and come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, so we won't die here in America. Because that's what's coming to this place: destruction. America is not gonna be great again. It's gonna burn forever and ever. That's what's gonna happen. It will be that lake of fire. So and I gotta talk like this because a lot of us don't. We've been so docile, learning that, white supremacist, ideology called Christianity, and we don't know what this book really says. So, we got to talk like this to shake some people up, to let them know this stuff is real. And this stuff is happening, whether you like it, believe it, understand it, or not. This is what's going on. So, So let's go to verse 7. But in those days, the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, and the mysteries of God shall be finished, and he that declared his to his servants, the prophets, right? So let's see what he declared to, because that's what it's saying. Like it says, who he declared these things to his prophets. And the Lord he's such a nice guy. The Most High is such a nice guy. He don't just blow up stuff or cause destruction to come to a place. He sent his prophets out to warn the people first. Before he come and wreck shop in a certain area. He always done that. So this Amos get Amos 3:7 real quick. So it says, I'm gonna start at 4. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord have not done it? Meaning, when God passes judgment on the city, he's the one he's the one that bringing judgment on that land. Surely the Lord will do nothing. That's the point right here. Surely the Lord will do nothing but reveal his secrets to his prophets. So that's what he's doing in the last days. He's telling his prophets, hey, go out, tell these people I'm about to do something crazy to this place. And they need to get on board, or they need to get up out of the way. They need to get up off the block. Because when I come back through here, I'm airing it all out. And if they still on the block when I come back, they're going to get hit too. So he's telling people that. That's what he's telling his prophets, to go out and tell these people, look. That's what it's like. It's like a drive-by. That's how I liken it to. He coming, like when a drive-by happens, the person that's doing a drive-by, they're hitting everybody that's out there. But the Lord is being nice enough to say, hey, I'm coming back and I'm about to blow this shit up. So y'all need to get up out of here and clear it out, for y'all won't be the ones that get hit. Because I'm coming with a shotgun. It's not no sniper rifle that I'm shooting with. I'm shooting with a shotgun and things are going everywhere. Everybody gonna get it. So if you out there, you're gonna get it. So he sent his prophets. That's what it says. Surely that's why it says, surely the Lord God will do nothing but reveal his secrets unto his prophets. So he's not going to do anything yet until he tells his prophets, hey, look, this is what's cracking. Go out and tell the people. All right? So, and that's what is happening now. And back to Revelation 10:8. And the voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me again and said, go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel which stand upon the sea and the earth. Right? So let's get Ezekiel 2:9. And Ezekiel 2:9 says, and when I looked, and behold, and the hand was sent unto me, lo, a roll of a book was therein. So so even Ezekiel is seeing the same vision of this book. This book that has been sealed all the way up until our generation, until we're able to understand it, because technology is advanced enough. We have to basically, with these smartphones, you basically have a library in your head. So now we can understand these things. We can do the research. We can put two and two together now. So so it says, and I went unto the angel, and I said unto him, give me the little book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth as sweet as honey. So it's saying it should make your belly bitter, meaning once you take this knowledge and understand this knowledge, it's gonna make you sad. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt you to know what's really cracking, because you've been told X, Y, and Z for so long. But once you really get the real understanding, it's gonna take you back. Like, man, this is real jacked up. It's gonna be better to you, because you're gonna be like, dang, this is what's really going on. But it's gonna be sweet in your mouth, because now you have the knowledge and the proper understanding. All right. So the metaphor is how this thing is written. So so let's get Ezekiel 3:3. So it says, and he said unto me, son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll, and I gave it eat, and then I did eat it. I did, then I did eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. Meaning, once he understood this knowledge, it became sweet to him because now, he got the proper understanding, you know, and so Ezekiel said it became sweet, you know, and that's how it is when that's how knowledge is. When you first come into knowledge and wisdom, it'll be rough on you because like you realize how much of a fool you've been, how tricked you've been, how manipulated you've been. So that it's better to you. But then once you work through all that, then you start not. Then it becomes sweet because now you know what to do. Now you can remove maneuver now, right? So it says, and he said unto me, uh, this is the last verse, thou must prophesy again for many people and nations and tongues and kings. And that's what and that's what he sent his people out to do, to prophesy to many nations and kings. That's why you see a lot of Israelite groups outside doing their thing. A lot of people on whether it's the internet or wherever the case may be, they out here telling people what's going on because they've been charged to prophesy to tell these people what's going on. And let me see if I can get one more real quick. So he says prophesy. So that's what we need to come out and do and to get this understanding. Because it tells you in Ezekiel 37:4, again, he said unto me, prophesy unto these bones, and say unto them, ye old dry bones, hear the words of the Lord. And we are those dry bones, you Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, the children of Israel. We are the dry bones because we have been downtrodden and, taken out from our nationality, rape, rob, murder, um, disenfranchised. We are the dry bones. We are running around calling ourselves, bywords, niggas and stuff like that, black, all these different names and not knowing our true nationality and our heritage and our culture. We are those dry bones. So he said, go and prophesy to these dry bones. And that's what we got to do. Talk to these dry bones to make these dry bones live. So with that, I'm going to end it. Hopefully that was edifying and we got a little more understanding about Revelation, and we're gonna continue on. Uh, so with that, I'm gonna say shalom and peace, and until next time, see y'all later.